Hey, I'm Nancy Cavey. I'm a nationwide ERISA disability and individual disability insurance attorney. Welcome to Winning Isn't Easy. Before we get started, I have to give you a legal disclaimer. The podcast is not legal advice. The Florida Bar Association says I've got to say that, so I've said it. But nothing prevents me from giving you an easy to understand overview of the disability insurance world, the games that carriers play, and what you need to know to get the disability benefits you deserve. So off we go. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the 8 things that you should do before you stop work and apply for your short-term disability insurance benefits. The myths that disability insurance policyholders believe about ERISA and individual disability insurance, and the truth. And I'm going to answer listeners' questions. So when we come back, we're going to get started with this episode.
Have you been robbed of your peace of mind from your disability insurance carrier? You owe it to yourself to get a copy of Robbed of Your Peace of Mind, which provides you with everything you need to know about the long-term disability claim process. Request your free copy of the book at caveylaw.com today.
So are you ready to get started? Let's first talk about the 8 things that you should do before you stop work and apply for your short-term disability insurance benefits. Are you having trouble doing your job? Has your doctor told you you can't work? If so, I think it's probably time for you to apply for your short-term disability benefits. So I'm often asked, what are the things that I should do before I stop work and apply for my benefits? Number 1, we've got to determine first if you even have short or long-term disability insurance coverage. The easiest way to figure that out is to look at your pay stub for a deduction. And if you can't see a deduction on your pay stub, you might want to contact your HR department and see if you have short-term disability or long-term disability insurance. If you haven't signed up, that can be a problem. Number 2, you should get a copy of what's called the summary plan description for both your short-term and long-term disability coverage, and a copy of each plan or policy. Now, generally, there are 1 of 3 ways that an employer is going to offer short-term disability coverage. The first is that they're going to have what's called a self-funded plan, and it's administered by a third-party administrator like Sedgwick. What that means is that your employer pays the short-term disability benefits, but they've delegated the decision whether to pay your benefits to the third-party administrator. The second way that an employer can offer short-term disability coverage is that they are self-funded, but they're administered by your employer. So in other words, they'll have a claims committee that will make the decision whether to pay your benefits. If your employer decides to pay you your short-term disability benefits, it's going to come out of your employer's pocket. It's assets. Now, the third way that short-term disability insurance can be offered is through a disability insurance policy. Under the ERISA law, an employer is required to have a summary plan description that explains the terms and provisions of the short-term disability plan or policy. They're required to have an actual plan or policy, and they have to give you a copy of both the SPD and the plan or the policy. Well, what happens if they don't? If that happens, you can contact my office because I can file a lawsuit in federal court that compels your employer to provide you with that information. A federal judge has the discretion to impose a $110 per day fine for every day they don't provide that information. And a federal judge has the discretion to award an attorney a fee at their expense for having to file the lawsuit to get a copy of the plan or the policy that they're required to give to you. So once you get the plan or the policy, I suggest that you read it cover to cover and take out a piece of paper and outline the policy provisions. Now, I think that there are certain terms that you need to pay attention to so you understand the waterfront. How long do you have to be disabled before you collect benefits? That's called the elimination period. So how long do you have to be out of work? Secondly, what's the definition of disability? Next, what's the definition of occupation? Are there any limits on self-reported or subjective conditions like fibromyalgia or migraines? Are there any limitations on mental nervous claims? Can you collect short-term disability if you were injured on the job? Do you have to use your PTO or leave time before you can collect your short-term disability benefits? Are there any offsets for the receipt of PIP benefits, which are paid if you've been in an auto accident, workers' compensation benefits, or Social Security benefits that you might get in the future? And how long will you be paid those short-term disability benefits? So once we've got the understanding of whether you have coverage and what the coverage consists of and any limitations, the next thing you should do, number 4, is to find out whether or not your doctor supports your claim and whether they're willing to fill out forms. If not, you need to find a new doctor. It's as simple as that, because you can't win a claim without your doctor's support and their willingness to fill out forms. So, as I've said, the first 4 things you should do are: 1, determine if you've got the coverage; 2, get a copy of the summary plan description for both your short and long-term disability coverage and a copy of each, and read it cover to cover, outlining it so that you understand the terms of your disability policy and any minefields or bombs that might be waiting for you. And you need to answer the important question of, does your doctor support your claim and are they willing to fill out forms? When we come back, I'm going to continue with the next 4 things you need to know.